And if you made it this far, you're probably someone who thinks deeply about these things. Subscribe, because this channel is built for people like you. There is a moment. You've probably witnessed it, maybe in a restaurant, maybe at a dinner party, maybe across the office. An older man, not physically imposing, not conventionally handsome in the way Instagram has taught us to recognize, says something to a woman, and something shifts, not dramatically. Not like in the movies. There's no swelling violin, no slow-motion hair flip, just a shift. She leans forward. Her posture changes. Her eyes do that thing, that focused, slightly narrowed thing where her full attention is suddenly, completely his. And somewhere nearby, a younger man watches this happen and feels a confusing mixture of bewilderment and irritation that he cannot quite name. He's thinking, what just happened? What just happened was two words. And no, before your mind races toward manipulation or seduction scripts or some toxic pickup artist handbook, these two words are not what you think. They are not smooth. They are not a trick. They are, in fact, so simple, so unfashionable, so deeply human that when you finally understand them, you won't feel clever. You'll feel a little embarrassed that it took this long. These two words reveal something profound about female psychology, about attraction, about what women are actually looking for beneath all the noise of modern dating culture, and why the generation of men who grew up online, surrounded by hacks, aesthetics, and performance, are losing something they don't even realize they've already lost. Let's talk about it. Picture this. A 52-year-old man, let's call him Marcus, sits across from a woman at a dinner party. He's not the richest man in the room. He's not the funniest. His hair has silvered at the temples. He doesn't have a chiseled jaw or a gym body. He drives a sensible car. He works in urban planning or architecture or some field that doesn't make for exciting small talk, but he's been somewhere. You can feel it when he's near you. The woman across from him is 34. Smart, accomplished. She has a career she's built from scratch and an Instagram page she doesn't take too seriously anymore. She's been on approximately 400 first dates in the past 4 years. She has seen every trick. She's been love-bombed. She's been ghosted. She's been sent unsolicited poetry that read like it was written by a chatbot with low self-esteem. She's tired, and then Marcus looks at her. Not at her dress, not at his phone, not at the person walking by behind her, at her, and he says something, those two words, and she doesn't know why, but something in her chest loosens, like a knot untying. We're going to come back to those words. But first, you need to understand why they work, because the words themselves are not magic. The psychology behind them is. What this moment reveals here is the uncomfortable truth that nobody in the modern dating conversation wants to say out loud. Most men today do not make women feel seen, not truly seen, not in the ancient, irreducible way that human beings crave being witnessed by another person. They make women feel desired, which is not the same thing. They make women feel evaluated, which is the opposite of the same thing. The male gaze, particularly in the age of apps, has become a kind of scanning technology. You swipe, you assess, you decide in 0.4 seconds, based on a photograph, whether this human life is worth your next 5 minutes. And this behavior, this habitual evaluation, has leaked out of the phone and into real life, into restaurants, into parties, into conversations where a man is technically present but psychologically still swiping. Women feel this. They feel it the way you feel a draft from a window that isn't quite closed. Something is missing, and they can feel the absence even if they can't point to the source. And then Marcus speaks those two words, and for the first time in a long time, she doesn't feel like a product being assessed. She feels like a person being known. That distinction, desired versus known, is the entire psychology behind why certain older men have an almost unfair advantage in romantic attraction. Not because of money, not because of status alone, because of something that cannot be faked, cannot be performed, and cannot be downloaded. Let's not drag this out. The two words are, tell me. That's it, tell me. Not, so what do you do, delivered while glancing at your phone. Not, you seem interesting, as a compliment that circles back to the speaker. not "I totally understand," said before the other person has finished their sentence. Tell me. Two words that, in a world of noise, function like silence. Two words that communicate something so rare it's become almost radical. I am here. I have time. I am genuinely curious about who you are. Marcus doesn't say, "Tell me your job title" or "Tell me where you grew up." He says it the way a person opens a door, fully, without knowing what's on the other side, without needing to control what walks through. Tell me about the thing that made you choose the work you do. Tell me what you're actually thinking right now, not the dinner party version. Tell me something that surprised you recently. And then, this is the part that breaks people. He listens, not listening while mentally formulating his response. Not listening while waiting for an opening to redirect the conversation back to himself. Actual listening. The kind that costs something. The kind that makes you feel, as the speaker, like the room has gotten smaller and warmer. This is the first word. And now here is the second, because "tell me" alone is only half the architecture. The second word is not a word in the traditional sense. It's a phrase. It's the follow-up. It's what Marcus says after she tells him something, after she's opened up, offered something real, shown a corner of who she is. He says, "I understand," but not "I understand" as a filler, not the reflexive, hollow "I understand" that people use as conversational punctuation before pivoting to themselves. He says it after a pause. He says it looking directly at her. He says it with the weight of a man who has actually lived enough to understand, to have failed enough, loved enough, lost enough, to have earned the right to that word. And suddenly, she is not talking to a stranger at a dinner party. She is talking to someone who has genuinely met her somewhere in the territory of human experience and recognized her there. How modern systems broke this. Now let's talk about why "tell me, I understand." This pair of phrases, so elemental, so basic, so achingly human, has become rare enough to be magnetic, because it wasn't always rare. Somewhere in the shift to digital social life, a particular skill started eroding. Not intelligence, not ambition, not even emotional capacity. Something quieter, something that doesn't trend on Twitter. Patience. Specifically, the patience to be fully present in a conversation with another human being without any other stimulus competing for your attention. Dating apps restructured the psychology of attraction around a logic that has never been how human connection actually works. The logic of the market. Optimize your profile, stand out from the competition, generate interest through scarcity, move fast or be replaced. This is the language of commerce, and it has colonized romance with such efficiency that most people under 35 genuinely cannot tell the difference anymore between pursuing connection and pursuing a consumer good. The result? Dates that feel like interviews. Conversations where both people are performing rather than revealing. Relationships that last exactly as long as the dopamine does, and then collapse because there was no actual foundation, just two performances that happened to overlap for a while. And into this landscape walks Marcus. He didn't learn to date from an app. He learned from failure, from real relationships that scarred him and grew him, from conversations that lasted until 3 a.m. not because anyone was trying to impress anyone, but because two people were genuinely discovering each other. He carries that history in the way he sits in a chair, in the way he doesn't check his phone during dinner, in the way he asks questions he doesn't already know the answers to. He is, without trying to be, a relic of a pre-performance era of romance. And that relic in 2024 is an anomaly. And anomalies attract attention. Let me give you another scene. A woman mid-30s, let's call her Priya, is 3 months into dating a 28-year-old man who does something in tech and has very good hair. He texts quickly. He's attentive on Instagram. He compliments her photos within minutes of her posting them. He's told her she's beautiful, probably 47 times in 12 weeks, in various creative formats, but he's never once asked her what she's afraid of. He's never asked about the project she's been pouring herself into for 2 years that isn't finished yet. When she mentioned it once, he said, "That's cool," and pivoted to a funny story about his co-workers. He doesn't know her. He is attracted to the surface of her. He is dating her the way someone watches a TV show, consuming, not engaging, and then she meets someone older at a friend's birthday, not romantically, not immediately, but he asks her, casually, without agenda, "What's the hardest thing you're working on right now?" And she talks for 12 minutes straight, about her project, about why it matters to her, about the fear underneath it that she hasn't said out loud to anyone. He listens. He asks one follow-up question. It's a good one, the kind that could only come from someone who was actually paying attention. She goes home that night and lies awake, not because she's attracted to this man, but because she is suddenly painfully aware of what has been missing from her relationship, of how hungry she has been to be known rather than admired. 2 weeks later, she ends things with the 28-year-old. He never figures out why. Realization. 1. Attraction is not primarily visual for women. This is the fact that gets buried under $1 billion of cosmetic and fashion industry messaging. Women are attracted to men who make them feel something specific, not just desire but recognition, the feeling of being understood. The feeling that someone in a crowded room of people who barely see them genuinely sees them. Tell me triggers that feeling. It signals that the person across from you is not waiting for their turn to speak. They are actually here, in this moment for you. Realization. 2. Confidence is not what men think it is. Young men, fed on a diet of YouTube self-improvement content, have been taught that confidence is a posture, a walk, a vocal tonality, a way of taking up space. Older men know something different. Real confidence is the ability to be curious without being threatened, to sit with a woman's complexity without needing to dominate it or resolve it, to listen without immediately trying to fix, correct, or one-up. "I understand," spoken with genuine weight, is an act of profound confidence, because it requires you to have done something most people avoid, actually sit inside someone else's experience long enough to have met it with your own. Realization. 3. Emotional presence is the new scarcity. We live in the age of distraction. The human attention span is being auctioned off, second by second, to whatever app's algorithm is most sophisticated that week. Undivided attention, the kind Marcus gives, has become almost shockingly rare, which means it has also become intensely valuable. Here is a line worth writing down: the most erotic thing a person can offer another person in the age of the scroll is their complete and unhurried attention. That's not a metaphor. That's economics. Realization. 4. Women are not confused about what they want. They are exhausted by the absence of it. The narrative that women don't know what they want is a story told by people who would rather pathologize women's desires than examine their own behavior. Women know exactly what they want. They want to feel human. They want to be in the presence of someone who makes them feel more themselves, not less. They want conversation that goes somewhere real, not just somewhere comfortable. The 34-year-old woman at that dinner party hasn't been unlucky in love. She's been surrounded by men who were performing attraction rather than actually being present for it. Realization. 5. Time is a teacher that cannot be rushed. This is the quiet unfairness of aging that nobody talks about in the context of romantic appeal. Older men who have genuinely reflected on their lives carry something women are biologically and psychologically attuned to recognize: depth. Not just wisdom, depth. The specific kind of depth that comes from having made mistakes and sat with them long enough to learn something, from having lost people, from having failed at things they cared about, from having built something, watched it fall, and built again. This depth is not about age. There are 50-year-olds with the emotional depth of a parking lot, but there are also 40-year-olds who have done the work, the honest, unglamorous work of self-examination, and who carry that labor in the texture of how they engage with the world. That texture is what women are responding to when they call an older man magnetic or calming or different. They are not responding to gray hair. They are responding to the lived experience encoded in his presence. The uncomfortable departure, truth. Now let's go deeper. Because this conversation cannot stay comfortable if it's going to be honest. Here is the thing nobody wants to say. The gap between older men who attract women and younger men who struggle is not about tools or tactics. It's about character. And character is not a skill you can install. The self-improvement industry, worth billions, has sold an entire generation of men on the idea that attraction is a series of learnable behaviors, that if you say the right things in the right order, use the right body language, apply the right emotional frameworks, you can engineer connection. And to a shallow extent, this is true. You can perform presence well enough to fool someone for a first date. You can perform listening. You can ask "tell me" without actually caring about the answer. But women, particularly women with experience, women who have survived enough bad relationships to have developed the kind of emotional sonar that only comes from surviving bad relationships, they feel the difference. This is not mysticism. This is neurobiology. Human beings are wired to detect authenticity at levels far below conscious awareness. The micro-expressions, the timing of responses, whether someone's eyes are moving toward the door or toward you, whether the question they just asked was motivated by curiosity or strategy. You cannot fake "tell me" indefinitely. Eventually, the emptiness behind it becomes visible. And when it does, the damage is worse than never having asked at all. This is why the two words "tell me" and "I understand" only function as genuine attractors when they come from genuine character. When Marcus says them, they land because they are true. He actually does want to know. He actually does understand. And she feels the difference between a man who has done the work to become genuinely curious and compassionate and a man who watched a YouTube video about active listening last Tuesday. Here is the more provocative observation. What older men have in attraction is not an advantage they were given. It is an advantage they earned, usually through suffering they would not choose to repeat, the divorce that broke him and rebuilt him differently, the career failure that stripped him of his ego and left something cleaner, the relationship that taught him what it actually means to love someone rather than need them. These are not resume lines. They are the invisible credentials that women sense in the way a person occupies a conversation. And here is what that means for younger men. If you're willing to hear it, the shortcut doesn't exist. You cannot rush the formation of depth. You cannot hack the development of genuine curiosity. You cannot download patience. What you can do, starting now, today, in this year, is begin the actual work, not the performance of growth. The actual thing. That means sitting with discomfort instead of fleeing it. It means having the conversations you've been avoiding. It means developing opinions about things that matter and being willing to be wrong. It means reading more and scrolling less. It means asking questions when you don't already know the answer and being genuinely surprised by what you find. It means practicing "tell me" not as a tactic, but as a philosophy. A way of moving through the world that assumes other people are more interesting than you expect and that you have more to learn than you know. One more scene. This one might sting a little. A 26-year-old man, smart, good-looking, genuinely well-intentioned, that goes on a third date with a woman he really likes. He's done everything right by the modern playbook. He suggested a thoughtful restaurant. He complimented her without being excessive. He's been reading about emotional intelligence, and he's trying to implement it. Halfway through dinner, she mentions almost offhandedly that she's been feeling lost about a decision she has to make. A real one, something with weight. He has two options in this moment. Option A, he asks, "Tell me more about that." And then he listens, not to solve it, not to impress her with his insight, just to actually hear her. And then, if he's understood something true about her experience, he says, "I understand," not as a segue, but as an arrival. Option B, he says, "Oh, I totally get that. I had something similar happen when I was deciding whether to take that job in Berlin. Let me tell you about that." And he chooses option B. Not because he's a bad person, but because he's been conditioned by every social environment he's grown up in to demonstrate competence. To show that he relates by showing that he has also experienced. To connect by making himself equally visible. She smiles. She listens to his Berlin story. It's actually an interesting story. But somewhere in her chest that knot did not untie. She goes home. She texts her friend. "He's great. I just don't know if I feel it." And he will never know why. Because from the outside, everything looked right. The restaurant, the compliments, the stories. everything except the moment she needed him to disappear so she could be seen, and he chose, instead, to exist. Let's step back for one moment and look at this from a height. What we are really talking about, underneath all the psychology and the dating culture critique, is one of the oldest human needs, the need to be witnessed. Not celebrated, not desired, witnessed. There is a difference between someone who finds you beautiful and someone who finds you interesting, between someone who wants to be near you and someone who wants to know you, between someone who is attracted to the story of who you might be and someone who is patiently, attentively present for the story of who you actually are. Tell me is an invitation to be witnessed. I understand is the confirmation that witnessing has occurred. These two moments, invitation and confirmation, are the entire architecture of human intimacy. Every great love story, when you strip away the aesthetics, comes down to two people who made each other feel this, who looked at each other with the specific quality of attention that said, "You are not invisible to me, you are not interchangeable. I am here and I'm paying attention, and what I find is not disappointing me." This is what older men who attract women have learned. Not always consciously, not always articulately, but in the bone-deep way that comes from living. Connection is not built on impression, it is built on attention. And attention, real attention, the kind that costs you something, is perhaps the most intimate gift one human being can offer another. Here is the last thing. There's a reason we have the phrase old soul. We use it to describe someone who, regardless of their age, carries themselves with a certain quality, a depth, a groundedness, a capacity for presence that feels out of step with the noise of the world around them. Old souls are not nostalgic. They are not simple, they are not boring, they are rare. And in a world that rewards performance over presence, spectacle over substance, and the curated image over the honest face, they are becoming rarer. The older man who attracts women is not playing a different game by better rules. He has, through whatever combination of experience and reflection and pain and growth, stopped playing the game entirely. He's not trying to win the room. He's not optimizing his profile. He is simply maddeningly there. Fully, unhurriedly, genuinely there. And when you have spent years being evaluated, desired, and catalogued, when you have been on your 400th first date and you are tired in the way that only the chronically unseen are tired, you feel the presence of someone like that the way you feel sunlight after a long indoor winter. Not because they are flawless, not because they have all the answers, but because when they look at you and say, "Tell me," you believe them. And when they say, "I understand," for the first time in a long time you think, maybe someone does. And maybe that the possibility of being known rather than merely seen, of being understood rather than merely desired, is what love has always been pointing at. 2 words. The rest is just courage. Leave a comment. Have you ever felt truly seen in a conversation? What did it feel like?